Tony's just trying to make me feel bad about how nice the weather is down there. Hey, well, welcome back, Tony.
Thanks, Cav. Well, it's cool, and say it's nice, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's been amazing. Like we had 40-degree days, and now it's back to 18 in the space of a week.
That's
It's
Melbourne
crazy.
or Victoria in summer.
Mm.
Yeah. So you're safe from the fires, though? You said you've had some smoke?
Yeah. We had smoke on Saturday. It was, which I think probably came across from the Otways, which was having a bushfire, and the weather often comes from that way from the west. So I think that was it. Nothing really close to us. I guess I don't know how far the Otways would be from here as the crow flies. 150 k's maybe. Yeah, so we got smoke. But no, I was going to save it for after hours. But the sad news was, well, the good news and the sad news was, some of the farms that I have horses at burnt. Lindsay Park, where I have race horses at, is in Euroa, and Longwood Farm, where I have some broodmares and offspring, is in Longwood, which was the centre of the bushfire. So both places had to get their horses out in a hurry overnight. 150 in Longwood's case and about 350 in Lindsay Park's case. And unfortunately, Lindsay Park lost 7 horses to the fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So luckily, well, I shouldn't say luckily. Fortunately, none of those were mine. But yeah, it's been a tough week for the Victorian-based breeding and racing community. Really tough.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the
sad.
emails and interviews I've seen have just been amazing. I mean, horrific in what's happened, and tales of, people being up for days overnight. Really good stories of everyone chipping in to help. Lucky stories of, in one case, a vet was driving past a paddock and saw it was on fire and got the horses out, just coincidentally. Stories of horses, which must be like amazing animals and must have some kind of genetic disposition to surviving fires, but like horses completely surrounded by flame up against the fence and then waiting for the last minute to jump over the flames to where it had burnt, and therefore they were safe. Horses following other horses to safety. It's just, incredible.
Wow.
But really unfortunate. I mean, Lindsay Park lost the house, they lost paddocks, they lost a lot of things. They had firefighting irrigation, but it was really only over their main barns and facilities, but they lost a lot. Longwood Farm lost a lot. And then they've got it's coming on top of a big sale up in the Gold Coast at Magic Millions. So Michael Christian, I have a few broodmares with in partnership, had to be flying up and back to his farm to deal with the fires and then get the horses ready for sale up on the Gold Coast as well. So it's a very, very busy time.
It's sort of shocking to me that we've had all of this warning for decades that things were going to get hotter and we were going to have more fires and this kind of stuff. And we still have fires and they still cause problems. Like we haven't figured out solutions for preventing or dampening down fires better than we're currently doing it.
Well, I think a couple of things. I'm sure when everything settles down, there'll be inquiries and the rest of it. I know when New South Wales had them and I was living in Sydney, there was a lot of media about and become very political about this council wouldn't allow back burning and that council would. And then people would say, well, you should listen to the Aboriginals who've been doing it for years and they weren't allowed to light the normal fires and et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be a political shit sandwich again, as it often is. But in terms of these particular cases, the stories that I'm hearing from the principals, like Michael Christian and David Hayes, who flew back from Hong Kong, is just that they thought they were safe, and at 3 a.m. in the morning, suddenly the wind gets up to 100 k's an hour and the fire just turns on a dime and comes roaring towards you when you thought you were safe. So, maybe they need to change their practices, and if there's a bushfire in the area, even they have to evacuate the horses. But currently the practice is you put them in paddocks which are away from trees. So You find a large paddock and it's away from trees. It shouldn't burn, but the fires were just blowing bombs onto the paddocks and the grass was catching alight. So, and it happened within like half an hour to an hour. So it was very unexpected and very quick.
Yeah, look, I'm just talking more. We've got to be doing more. I mean, we saw this in California with the fires that they had a year ago. We have it here. I mean, fires obviously nothing new here, but we know it's going to be getting worse. We know that it's guaranteed it's going to be getting hotter. Fires are going to be getting worse. What are we doing as a society to prepare for that? Maybe there is a lot of stuff being done. I'm just unaware of it, but it's something that I hope we get a handle on, because we don't want to go through this every year, every couple of years.
Yeah.
Indefinitely.
Yeah, I agree.
It's tragic.
And it was only last year or the year before that these places, Longwood Farm, was affected by floods. So, it's been tough couple of years for them.
Well, I'll tell you who else is having a tough year. Kevin Rudd, Tony.
Okay. Well,
speaking of putting out fires,
a small violin plays for him.
Kevin Rudd's out as the US ambassador. Obviously, well, I don't know when it was, late last year, when he organised a meeting with the Prime Minister and President Trump. President Trump didn't know who he was.
I thought Trump did know who he was and said he didn't like him and probably never would.
No, a journalist said to him, the Australian Foreign Minister has said some terrible things about you. What do you think? He goes, well, who is he?
Ambassador.
And he said, ambassador, sorry. And he said to Albo, does he still work for you? And Albo's like, yeah, he's the guy sitting next to me at the table. And Trump was like, never heard of him.
But he did go on later on to say, I do know who he is and don't like him and probably never will.
Yeah.
Look, who knows what the situation is. My gut feel is they had to put some distance between those remarks and when Kevin exited. So it didn't look like they were just following what Trump wanted.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a difficult replacement, isn't it? Because I don't know if Albo can tap anyone on their side of politics who's going to be favourable to Trump.
And who hasn't said something critical about Trump in the last 8 years.
Which means putting a conservative person in as the ambassador.
Peter Dutton in. Put Peter Dutton in there.
Or Tony Abbott or someone like that.
Yeah.
But if they do that, and then Trump doesn't survive, for more than a couple of years, and they're out of step again in a few years' time. So it's going to be an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, fun and games. Obviously, sort of a crazy period in the US in the last week. Lady in Minnesota getting shot, and Jerome Powell, J. Powell, under criminal investigation. I think not just him. I think the Federal Reserve's under criminal investigation more broadly. I think so.
I just read what I read was that he gave testimony to Congress, which he does, I think, twice a year, and mentioned the fact that there were overruns in the renovations of the Fed building in Washington, and that's what sparked this criminal investigation or criminal suit or whatever it is over the overruns. And of course, there's all sorts of political toing and froing. There's been allegations that they were putting in a private bathroom and a private eating area for the board and a special lift and all this stuff, which Jerome's denied. And that they were putting in new marble, and Powell's pointed out that they're reusing the current marble they had to take down, but some of it broke. So there will be some new marble in to replace that, but they're reusing what they took out. And it's a very old building. It's 100 years since it was last maintained or renovated. So, it's an excuse, just like it was an excuse. Who's the other one that they're prosecuting at the moment? Another Fed board member who was supposed to have lied on a mortgage application. So she's being, Lisa Cook, I think her name is.
Yeah, that's right.
So she's being prosecuted as well. So it's Trump doing what Trump does, using every avenue he can to try and get his way.
Yeah.
And why is that important? Or why is it important to have an independent Fed or an independent RBA? Well, exactly to stop people like Trump from having their way on interest rates, because they will cut to suit themselves and to suit the electoral cycle, and that might not be in the best interest of the economy. Which kind of begs the question, well, if you need independent governance of the economy, why do you need a president, or why do you need an elected prime minister or parliament? Why not have like maybe an elected panel of review, like a very small Senate, and then have everything run by oligarchies, or what do you call it when the smart people run the country? Is that an oligarchy? No, it's
technocrats.
Yeah, okay, technocrats. I think there's a term for it where you have anyway. Yeah, so why don't you have if it's important to the economy to have independence, why isn't it important to medicine, defence, schools, education, all the rest of it too?
Because it doesn't affect bankers as much.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, that's an aside. I think pretty much everyone agrees, except for Trump, agrees you have to have an independent board. He's placing a lot of pressure on Powell, and Powell, his term as the Fed chair finishes in May, but he's still a member of the board for another year or so. So I think, and I don't quite understand how it works in the US. I think they have a 7-member board, but maybe that's an executive of something like 25 or 30 actual members of the Fed. There's a lot more. So, but Trump's trying to get control of that executive and I think he's got 3 out of 7 now, and he's trying to get the 4th. And of course, Powell was one of his appointees anyway. So it's sometimes just having the power to appoint doesn't mean you control it, but didn't work out in that case. But yeah, I think, obviously Trump wants to cut interest rates, if for nothing else, to give him cover on tariffs and whatever else he's doing that causes inflation, including tax cuts to the rich. So yeah, I think he's proving the case for an independent board by his actions, really. But, sometimes society has to go through a dose of salts, and if Trump gets control of the Fed and cuts interest rates, and there are problems arising because of that, like runaway inflation, that may, mean that he doesn't get away with it the second time. We'll see.
Maybe Trump is a genius after all.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
The whole tariff situation doesn't seem to have destroyed the US economy like a lot of people thought it would a year ago when he started messing with that. So who knows?
And also, too, the fact that they're doing a building renovation, which is going over budget, I think that's really talking to Trump's core competency of, property development. And
is it his core competency, though? Is it his core competency?
His core business.
Yes.
Well, you'd have to say it's his core competency if you accept he's competent in anything. But it's his core business. So I think that's kind of gotten up his nose as well, that he's employing someone who can't renovate a property to his liking.
Yeah, he said he's not good. Trump said Powell's not good at running the Fed, and he's not good at building buildings either.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I tell you who is a genius, Tony. Me, I'm a genius. The Light portfolio for the last 12 months is doing quintuple market, Tony. Quintuple market.
Five times.
Where it's up 40% versus the index up 8% in the last 12 months. I mean, okay, it's your system, but we'll share the genius thing. We'll share it.
I knew I shouldn't have appointed you QAV COCOM.
We'll share the glory. Like quintuple market. And as you know, the Light, for the first couple of years I was running the Light portfolios, they were, 20% under the market. Not all of them, but, somewhere. But it's been absolutely bonkers. I sent out the QAV Light email newsletter yesterday saying, we're doing quintuple market over the last year. Don't worry, it's not going to last. Like, if I'm confident of anything, it's not going to last. But it should give us wind in the sails anyway for the Light portfolio for a long time to come.
That's good. What's been the standout?
Oh, good question. Let me bring up Navexa and have a look.
Oh, while you're
Uh,
doing that too, can you give us a split between growth and dividends? Because that's going to be a question we have to answer
oh, I
down
can.
the track.
Mm.
Mm.
So in the last 1 year, as I said, today it's 41.6% over the last 12 months. Capital gain 35% versus 6% for income return.
Okay. So it's
So,
growth.
yeah, well and truly growth.
Yeah.
Um, so we've got WGN up 177%,
Wagners. Yep.
GNP up 145,
GS Post.
RRL up 138,
Regis Resources.
SRG up 130, PRN up 122, SHA up
Parenti.
120, PRU up 95, NWH up 90, ASG up 85, SXE up 74, 73, 74. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stocks giving almost double returns.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely bonkers year for the portfolios. And, some of them, I hold in a number of the light portfolios. So, it's sort of, we've got that growth across 2, 3, 4 portfolios. So
That's interesting
yeah,
too, isn't it? Because I've always thought if you hit the larger the portfolio, the more index-like the returns. But your 4 portfolios would have 50 plus stocks in them, wouldn't they, if you aggregate them?
yeah, I'm looking through. If Navexa tells me here how many stocks. Let me see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 41
41 stocks. Okay.
across 4 portfolios. Yeah. Oh, hold
Hmm.
on. No more. 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Yeah, nearly 50. Um, yeah. So there's a bit of overlap between different portfolios.
Hmm.
And, not all of them have the 15 to 20. But yeah, like really, really amazing performance. And a lot of that, obviously, I think is in the last 6 months too. So good times.
Mm.
The US portfolio has had a resurgence as well in the last 3 months, but we'll talk about that in our US show coming up next. But it's doing quite well as well for some reason. Tell you who's not doing well: Super Retail, Tony.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I'm a shareholder.
Tell us what happened
Mm.
to Super Retail yesterday.
Oh, they put out their, well, it's confession season. That's the first point to note, I guess. We're coming into, or in January, and in February we'll get the um, results announcements. But they put out an update yesterday, which I didn't think was too bad, to be honest. Like-for-like sales, which is the important metric if you're a retailer, they were up 2.5%, which is pretty much in line with what people thought. But there was a bit of an undershoot on the profit side of things, not by a whole lot. So I don't think that was the reason for I think it was about a 5% sell down yesterday in the share price. But what I think what spooked analysts was the fact that they mentioned in the announcement that there had been more promotional discounting going on in the business, and so that's hurt margins a little bit. But I think the reason why the analysts are focusing on that is because one of the businesses that Super own is Rebel Sport, and a large UK sport retailer called Sports Direct opened their first store in Melbourne at the end of last year. And so the analysts are kind of waiting to see what happens with competition. And if the fact that the business was discounting more, maybe they're already suffering from competition. I'm not sure. I had a look at, I went into that Sports Direct store just after it opened last year, just out of curiosity, and didn't blow me away. It's a flagship store, so it was light and bright and big, but it didn't to me, it didn't seem to carry any bigger range than the Rebel Sports Store would, or have any sort of unique selling proposition to it, really. So it might just be the fact that if there's another large competitor coming into the market, then Rebel's margins will decline eventually, but because they've been the category killer to date. But so far, Sports Direct's only opened one site. They have a retail online presence, which encouraged them to open stores in Australia. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think that the analysts are a bit spooked about what could happen rather than what has happened so far. A couple of other things too. I mean, it's got a new CEO. So you recall there was a lot of noise around this stock last year when the CEO was alleged to have an affair with the head of HR, and there was whistleblowers who were sacked, and they launched court cases. So I'm, hoping that sort of noise is behind them. But with a new CEO, he's got to, make himself. He's got to earn the trust of the analysts and get a bit of a track record, which he hasn't had at the moment. This is his first result, so. It's a bit of a wait and see with a new CEO to see how long it takes for them to get trusted as well.
It's not a sell for you yet or anything, though?
I got an alert overnight to say it had crossed the sell line, but when I looked this morning, it was up again above it, and it still is now. So,
right.
I'll just have to follow the rules. If it becomes a sell, I'll have to sell it. But like I said, I wasn't that troubled with the results the sales announcement, the update.
Right.
Certainly not enough. I couldn't see why it was justified this for a 5% sell-off in the stock, and it's been back up again above its buy line today. So perhaps I'm not alone in that thought.
I'm just looking at it.
Above its sell line today.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on the bread ladder. It looks like it's well above its sell line too. Sell line I've got a $14.17, and it's trading at $14.69. So there's a bit of buffer there.
Yeah. That's what I've got too.
Speaking of buy lines and sell lines, you and I have been having email threads about grope. How's your groping going this week, Tony?
Yeah, very slowly. I spent most of the weekend on it. And I've probably only done about 25 transactions, I think, because it's just so slow. So thank you for the code. That was a big help.
Did you get my update last night?
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Sorry, I've been prepping for the show.
I think the code. You sent me a bunch of places where it disagreed with your manual or the Bredelator. When I went through them one by one, it was Yahoo Finance versus Google Finance numbers, except for the couple that were delisted, SDG and ECX. Turns out my backup data of delisted stocks didn't have any prices for those, so the code was just going delisted. Too bad. I did have some data for TRS, so I could do the TRS one, but the others. Jordan emailed me and said that he's got some pricing history for delisted stocks. So I've asked him if he has ECX and SDG and any others that we may need. That's going to be right. That's the big problem I've got at the moment. Where are you getting? You said you did some manual numbers on those. How are you getting price history on them? How?
The charts are still in Stock Doctor, so I go into the chart and do it like we used to do before the Bredelator, get a 5-year monthly graph up, and then use the segment drawing tool.
I go into Stock Doctor for ECX, and it's got nothing. It says
it'll be under Fleet Partners, probably, FPR.
Right, but FPR was around. It just changed. Okay, so it just changed its name. It wasn't an acquisition.
Yeah. No, it just changed its name.
Okay, so I can use that one. And what about SDG?
Still in Stock Doctor. I've been able to use Stock Doctor for all the delisted stock. SDG, MLD, which of course is a feature of QAV. We have stocks on our buy list that get acquired. And makes backtracking a bit harder.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I can rerun it on FPR and look at it with SDG and do those manually too. Find out why my code's not running on either of those because it doesn't have prices. But the rest of it I think is okay. I think there's just Yahoo Finance's numbers don't always
Right.
agree with Google Finance's
Okay.
closing prices and stuff.
Okay. Well, if you're confident, I'll use your code. I've been double checking everything as I go at this stage.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's part of the problem. The other problem, of course, is, say I have to sell something in my analysis, then I have to go and find the buy list, open it up, change the code in the buy list to add the growth over PE to the QAV score, do a ranking, and then pick the next stock that isn't already in the portfolio and isn't a Josephine or a commodity sell or whatever. So yeah, it's just painstaking at the moment. But yeah, I'll get there. Well, I did sort of stop on Sunday night and think maybe I just need to do this with one or two stocks first of all and just see if that is conclusive, and then maybe expand it out to 5 or 10, because I'm doing it with 20 stocks and it's just very cumbersome and slow at the moment. And I initially did it with 20 because the first time I looked at it, there wasn't a huge difference in the top of the buy list between adding growth over PE percentage to the score and just having the score as it currently is. Partly because all of our stocks don't have a growth recorded because they're not covered by analysts, and partly because all the stocks, have anemic growth over PE, because we're looking at growth over PE, not just the growth. And so they can be growing at 20%, but if their PE is 20, then we don't, doesn't add much to the QAV score. So it's only those ones which have really big growth forecast that makes a difference. But anyway, I'll keep plugging away because it's very interesting to look at. And as you just outlined in your portfolio review, it seems like this year anyway, growth has been driving everything. So there's got to be something in there that we can use.
Well, the email I got from Jordan was about the fact that he's just finished his own regression testing system that he's shared with me. Well, he shared the output, not the code, but the output of some of the stuff that he's worked on. So I did send him an email and asked if we can add or if we can tweak it to look at GROPE. So I'll let you know when he gets back to me.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
Hi, Jordan. Thanks, Jordan. Good job, Jordan.
Thank you.
Well, that's all I've got. We've got some questions from Doug. What else have you got on your list of talking points, Tony?
The last thing I had to talk about was just to back up what a good year it's been, because my brother-in-law, Wal, gave me his returns. We caught up yesterday, had a nice game of golf at Mornington, up the road. Lovely day and great course overlooking the bay. Anyway, his results were up 37.69% for the financial year. So he was pretty happy with that. And
financial year?
Or
calendar
actually, it doesn't say, could be calendar. It doesn't actually say on what he said. Could be calendar. Probably calendar. And that was mainly growth as well, 32% growth and 6% dividends.
Well, as I said before, most of the light growth, I think, came in the last 6 months. So it could be the financial year too. I think the first 6 months of the financial year was pretty flat for us.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't say. But he was happy with that. It's a good result. So thanks for sharing. And the only other thing I've got is a pulled pork on Kip McGrath Education.
So just going back to light, so I said 41.65% for the last 12 months. If I look at this financial year, it's only 29.19. So, the first 6 months, some part of the first 6 months did count. It's not just the financial year.
Okay.
Okay. So Kip who?
Kip McGrath Education.
All right. Do you want to do Doug's questions first?
Yeah, sure.
Doug, I haven't heard from Doug for ages, so it's great to hear from you, Doug. An update on returns from Doug. Since inception with you guys in 2020, he's got 2 accounts. Super account number 1, 19.16 CAGR. Super account number 2, 19.42% CAGR. Both roughly 12% capital growth and 7% dividends. One account is twice the value of the other, but otherwise always stayed fully invested with minimal cash for insurances and other costs. So thank you, QAV. Well done. Doug. That's
Good numbers.
yeah, and right on the money. 19% CAGR over 5 odd years, just where you'd want it to be. So well done. Now to my questions. I'm starting a portfolio outside of super and using some debt to gear it.
That's it for the free episode this week. To listen to the full episodes of QAV, please consider becoming a member of QAV Club, or check out QAV Light to get our weekly stock recommendations. It's only $30 a month. Check out our website to see how the Light portfolios are getting double market performance. QAV is a checklist-based system of value investing developed by Tony Kynaston over 25 years. To learn more about how it works and how you can learn the system, visit our website qavpodcast.com.au. This podcast is an information provider, and in giving you product information, we are not making any suggestion or recommendation about a particular product. The information has been prepared without taking into account your individual investment objectives, financial circumstances, or needs. Before you decide whether or not to acquire a particular financial product, you should assess whether it is appropriate for you in the light of your own personal circumstances, having regard to your own objectives, financial situation, and needs. You may wish to obtain financial advice from a suitably qualified advisor before making any decision to acquire a financial product. Please note that all information about performance returns is historical. Past performance should not be relied upon as an indicator of future performance. Unit prices and the value of your investment may fall as well as rise. The results are general advice only and not personal product advice. Transparency is important to us. We will always be very open and honest about the stocks we own. We will also always give our audience advance notice when we intend to buy or sell a stock that we are going to talk about on the podcast. This is so we can never be accused of pumping a stock to our own advantage. If we talk about a stock we currently own, we will make it known that we own it. This email is authorized by Anthony Kynaston. Authorized representative number 001292718 of MF & Co. Asset Management Proprietary Limited, AFSL 520442. No part of this content may be reproduced in any form without the prior consent of Spacecraft Publishing. Quote of the day: Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. All's well that ends well, William Shakespeare.